Forgot to record all that. Okay, so now that we've gone over the announcements, we'll get started here, and I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Okay, so we are going to be going over today. We've now talked about what makes something newsworthy. So, and again, when we say newsworthy, I always like to emphasize this, that don't do eye roll, news is boring, because you're probably thinking of topics that don't interest you. Well, of course it's boring if it doesn't interest you. Why wouldn't it be? But news is anything that is, welcome Lizzie, news is anything that is that we're telling people to be aware of. Stories is bottom line what they are. So you've learned the different categories that they typically fall into. Timeliness, happening right now. Can anyone give me an example of a timely news story that is literally, I've got it on my TV, I have the volume down, but that is literally happening right now as we speak? Can anyone think of an example that fits timeliness right now? Anyone? You can put it in the chat and share it with everybody, or you can unmute your mic and tell us. Hi, Lizzie. Happening right now. You probably heard about it last 2 days that it was going to happen. Pretty big news. It's going to go down in history.
I heard on the news that they were saying like Trump did some impeachable acts.
So, yep, you're on the right track. So what they're doing, this is all in regards to the Capitol the other day. Right now, the House, they're debating it to impeach him for the second time. So this will be the first ever in American history that a president potentially could be impeached twice. He was impeached the first time earlier. Was that last 2019 even? It's all running together for me. As has so impeached. So and you probably don't talk about this stuff, I bet you, until you get into high school, maybe, in American history. So impeached means, and I don't mean to digress a little bit, but it's happening now, and it's something y'all should be aware of. So impeached is when, and I'm not using the exact definition here, this is me doing my average citizen thing, but when an impeachable offense means a president has done something wrong that they think is against the Constitution, that violates the oath of office, that they should be removed from office. So pretty serious stuff. So it happened with a president that you, again, I don't know, you might not learn all this stuff till you get into high school, but Bill Clinton is a president who was impeached. Now, to get removed from office, both the House and the Senate both have to be unanimous. So if you just get impeached by the House but not the Senate, you get to stay in office. So that happened with our president, Bill Clinton, and then another president named Richard Nixon was impeached, and but he resigned. He was like, okay, I'll resign. So, but now it's happening a second time, and as you said, Ahana, it's because of people are accusing our president of inciting people, getting them riled up to go storm the Capitol. Okay, so that's what's happening. So if they vote, and what's even more significant about it, and pardon the dog crying in the background, what's even more significant about it is we are, 7 days away from his term in office ending. So that's what, but that just shows you, this would fit into, well, before I say it, what would another of our news values, so he's, well, good. I got a question, isn't he already out of office? He still holds the office. We have elected a new president who's the president-elect, President Biden. but he does not take the oath and get sworn in until January 20th. So until the 20th, President Trump is still our president. But sometimes, yeah, I agree. So I got a message that, and this is normal, do not feel, you all are young, and at your age, and even a lot of adults don't find politics interesting, okay? The reason why this is so precedented now is because it is the way our government works, and that this could even be happening in America. So that's why more people that don't typically pay attention, and there are a lot of adults that aren't interested in politics. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about that. A lot of this in your age group you're not paying attention to. I simply bring it up because it's an example of one of our news values. It's something people are talking about, and there's certain things that I feel like when it comes to news that even if we're not interested in, hush, sorry about the dog, we should at least be aware of, like to just be informed people. So that's why a lot of times when I get busy, I don't have time to watch the news. I'll have it on so I can see any headlines. So if anything huge happened that I should be aware of, I can either turn it up and learn more about it, or just be aware of the headline. Okay. So at any rate, I went off on a big digressing there, but that would be a timely, anything that's happening right now. So that would be an example. This would also fit in the category of conflict and controversy, huge controversy. People have very strong opinions. Go back and do. So yeah, so it's with our news. So this is another good question. Conflict and controversy make for great stories because people love listening to a good conflict or controversy. When you all, and we're getting into this today, I'm going to be asking you all for ideas at the end of this lesson for your show. So are you all going to put this in your show? I would say probably 99.9% no, because who is your audience? Who are we going to be making programming for? Anyone want to? Students, thank you, Rod. Yes, that's who your audience is. So you've got to think, what does my audience want? Your age, not politics. Okay, they're going to want, yep. So you think, what are we going to want? What's happening now? So one thing that is happening now that is, I don't want to, we'll get into hard versus softer news later. But harder meaning it's not feature, it's not fluff, it's not entertainment and all that good stuff that we all love, most of us, I think. But something happening now that might be of interest to students is when do we get to go back to school? We all want to go back to school, and maybe doing a poll or a survey of what students your age want. Keep that in mind. So anyway, I'm chatting. Let's get to the vocabulary. So building on the news values. Yes, go ahead. Is there a question? Did I hear a question? Okay, sorry. Okay, so our go ahead. I didn't hear you again. Is that
my fault? I didn't mean to unmute.
Oh, no problem at all. Okay, so here's just a review. Again, the best question, who cares? Ask yourself that. So if you ask the question impeachment, who cares? A lot of you are gonna be like, not my friends. Okay, so probably not gonna do that. So now the research. Now, when I say research, don't think like, Ms. Roush, we're doing research. No. I just mean research with like simple stuff. Think about when you are interested in a new video game coming out or a new movie coming out. What do? You go online and you Google it. That's research. A simple Google search is research. You're looking up information to find out more about that. So that's what I say in this class when I say research, is that you're finding information, and there are different ways to do that. Okay. So internet searches, super easy. Polls and surveys that you, maybe on your social media, you pose a question and say, how many of you are ready to go back to school? And then you get your friends to answer. Yeah, so I'm getting some good questions here. So we'll get to that in a minute, but the question that was posed could be yes, absolutely. And anything that people are talking about, okay, is if they're talking about it, it means people care, right? So you could do a survey, a poll. Do you want to go back to school? Or we'll get to another one here with the sliding scale, but observation, this is my absolute favorite one. Just observing, just looking around. I tell the story of years ago. There's a store out on Winchester Road at I-75 on the interstate called Hustler Hollywood, and it's really just for adults to go into. And there was a big controversy in Lexington. City council members didn't want that type of store in Lexington. They're like, no, we don't want it. So we've been at Channel 36 where I worked. We've been doing lots of stories about the meetings that the city council had and the debate, another good conflict controversy. Some people are like, it's a business. We can't tell what types of business we can and can't have. If you don't like the business, don't go there. And then and then other people are like, no, we don't want it here. So one day I was at the mall with a friend, and if any of you've been to the mall, you might have seen that store Spencer Gifts over by the food court. And they have what I call gag gifts, whoopee cushions and silly gifts. And that's what we were there for. We were there to buy a birthday gift for someone who was turning 40 for Over the Hill. And I looked over, and there were these kids your age in there, and they were just giggling at some of the merchandise. And I'm like, oh goodness, that's the same kind of stuff, that you would find at this store that's out on the interstate that, kids, you all get dropped off at the mall. You can wander wherever you want. So we ended up doing a story about it, about zoning and why you could have the same things at the mall where anybody can walk in versus on the interstate. It turned out to be a great story. We had a great time doing it. That purely came from me making an observation on a Saturday on my day off at the mall of some kids giggling. So, and think about whenever you've gone to the mall or an airport or even at school and you people watch, you can find and listen to some interest on the school bus. You might hear some, what are they talking about back there? So observation, looking, listening to me is one of the best tools ever. Now we're going to get into sources. So primary sources. I like to use the example of if someone's doing a story on bullying. Who might, yes, love these comments, love it. And this is why, so the comment was that love being on the inside of scoops. If you like that, you'll love this type of work. That's why I loved being a reporter, because if stuff was happening, I was right downtown or wherever. I was there. I was front line watching it happen. And I liked being that person in the thick of it and being the one telling the story to everybody else. So it's a lot of fun. So primary source, when I say primary source, if I were doing a story about bullying in schools, who would be the primary source? Who would be an example of someone I would want to talk to get information about that story? You can put it in the chat to everybody, or you can unmute your mic. Who would be an example of a primary source on a story about bullying?
Teachers or students.
Okay, I'm going to go. So between the two of them, hold on to teachers. Hold on to that thought, because that is someone you would probably want to talk to. Among students, so you've narrowed it down. Who among students, though, would you want to talk to? Being super specific.
a student who's getting bullied?
Yep. That would be a great example. Great example. That would be an example of a primary source. Also, primary source, a kid who admits, I am a bully. And I've had students in the past in my high school class do this story who have been interviewed because, like in middle school, they admitted they're like, I was the bully. And you know why I did it? Because I used to be bullied and it was my way to protect myself. So that's the thing. When you talk to people, you're going to find out information like this. So those would be your two primary sources, a student being bullied and the one who is a bully. Yeah, we'll be done here at 3 o'clock. So, and if anyone ever has a doctor's appointment or anything, just shoot me a message in the chat. I've had people do that the other day. Just let me know that you're leaving. So I've had people in the past that just want to grab anyone. Oh, here, can I interview you? Well, what for? Oh, I'm doing a story on bullying. And then the student says, well, I've never been bullied and I've never been a bully. Well, can I just interview you? Why? They're not going to have anything to offer, really, no real insight. So that's why we mean primary source, someone who has firsthand information or experience. Now, we also had the mention of a teacher, great secondary source. So obviously the teacher is being bullied or the bully, but you know what? They're one who looks out for it. They're ones who cares about it. They're ones who tries to intervene and gets help. So they would be a secondary source that could add to that, or maybe your principal or a counselor, anyone, or even a parent. A parent would be a secondary source because you're worried about your kids. So that would be an example. So the key being you want people who know something about what you're talking about. Validity, again, just valid means it's true. Unbiased. Now, unbiased, when I say unbiased, what do I mean when I say someone has a bias? Does anyone know what that means? If I'm biased? Any ideas on what it means to be biased? Okay, so and if there are ever other words that I throw out at y'all that you're like, I've not heard that word before. Just like earlier with impeachment, a lot of y'all don't know about that.
I know what it means to be biased.
Okay, go ahead. And I've got one in the thing. What does it mean if you're biased?
It's like my example was like the Democrat and Republicans, like they're two different sides. And also like if you have an opinion and someone else's opinion, like they don't match, they're different opinions.
Okay, so yeah, we're getting there on that. And then someone else says I'm against something. So in bias can be for or against something. So both of y'all are right. Let's use I'm just trying to think of I'm drawing a blank right now on something that would be good to, let's talk about, here's one. Well, no, I don't like that one either as an example. Sometimes bias issues are kind of heavy topics. Let's just say here, this is not the perfect example, but it's kind of, sort of. Let's say that I don't even like this example because it's more, I was going to say ice cream, like if I liked vanilla, but that's more taste. All of the things that people have a bias on. Well, you know what? Here's one, and it's timely and it's topical. And this is probably one of the big ones, is we hear a lot, and you probably heard this phrase, racial bias. So if people have a racial bias, they're just making a judgment for or against some based upon appearance, right? Color of our skin. That is not founded in kindness. facts, you know, it's just, I'm just biased. Oh, I don't like this person because of that, or I don't like, I don't like, I don't like student athletes. I like the artsy kids. I don't like athletes. So you see what I mean? It's things that, sometimes when we have a bias, that's when we need to check our, kind of do a check on, well, why do you think that? Why did you, there's no reason to think that. Why do you think that way? So now when I say we want our information, so when I did stories, here's an example. When I was a reporter and I had to do stories, I'm there to give you the information. Now, do you think that there were certain stories I got assigned that I had an opinion on? Yeah. I mean, I'm a human being. So like the hustler story, building building that store out on the interstate, I had an opinion about that. I mean, I thought, guys, that it's zoned for them to build out there. They should be able to build out there. Just because you have here's an example, bias, you don't like what they're selling, then don't shop there. So, but what I had to do is not have that bias. I had to just give the facts and you at home decide. So now when I say that though, what if we do a talk show where we're like, hot topics, we're going to have a talk show and we're going to have a debate on school dress codes. Well, sure, that's an opinion show, but we're setting it up as an opinion show, that the things here are our opinions. But when you do opinions, to be really good at them in any good debate, you use fact-based opinions. So if I have an opinion on something that is my opinion, it always helps your opinion to sway people if you back it up with some facts, okay? Reliability, this goes into the people you talk to, so I'll go back to the bullying example. They're going to be reliable if they have firsthand knowledge. If I go talk to someone who knows nothing about it, the story loses its oomph. So always consider your source. Also make sure that they're not out on an agenda. So they're talking to you because they have their own private agenda. So computer reporting, again, that's why I told you, go do a Google search. Go onto your social media, pose a question, get a survey, collect data from that survey. Or if you want to just do a, state statistics, let's say on COVID, you would go to the state website and get that data, a quick Google search. Again, panel discussion, that's kind of what I got into bias. That can be, okay, thank you for letting me know that in the message. Appreciate that, thank you. Get your background before you have a little fun debate. Poll, same thing. A yes, no can get you one. And then the survey, that's when you might have a, strongly disagree, neutral, strongly agree, or agree, strongly disagree, so you can get more of a wave. And then we could always put up a graphic with percentages. So now the fun part. That's the kind of a quick overview for you. So now it's your turn. So for the next couple of days, I want you to just start being aware. Listen, look around you. What are people talking about? What are your friends interested in? What are you interested in? Start with you. Start with you. What are you interested in? And then we are all going to work in the same Google document here. So do not, last time I know you made a copy and had your own. You're just going straight into this assignment, and we're all going to type in this assignment. So I just want you to come up with one idea. Now, what I want you to do is to figure out, where does it fit? Is it happening now? Is it happening close to home? Is it something maybe people are debating about? Or is it more this catch-all, which I think we'll have a lot in the human interest. Just fun stories, unusual stories, inspiring stories. Feature a profile, maybe a teacher profile. Maybe you have a teacher that has a fun hobby outside of school that you think would be cool to share. Or maybe they, I don't know, ask your teachers, because I think sometimes as students, you just see us as the teachers. We just teach the content, but then you find out, oh my gosh, on the weekends, my teacher is in the roller derby. She roller skates and does that. Or my teacher is an artist, or, ask your teachers. And you know what, I'll tell you too, that I think these would make some neat features. I think your teachers are going to be like, wow, that's kind of cool. My students are interested in knowing something about me as a person. And you make that connection. And that's ultimately what our stories are about, that we make connections. And then if you want to do a news of the weird, odd segment. So let me get down to the rubric here. Pretty simple. Let's get all of our points on this. So one, that you've applied it into the category, and it makes sense why you think it's in that category. It shows you've asked yourself the who cares method, that, yeah, I think your audience of your peers will like it. And then the idea. Here's the one area that I think you'll get good or perfect. And that is, I'm going to give you extra points, perfect points, if you not only say, I want to interview Mrs. Smith, because I found out that on the weekend she's in the roller derby. My way I want to tell that story is I want to interview her, and I want to get some pictures, because right now we're in pandemic, so they're not probably skating, but I'm going to get pictures and maybe file video, home video. Excuse me. Hush. So sorry. Home video, so you're telling us you're wanting to put it together. Or let's say your idea is you want to do my idea is to survey students about how many of them are feeling lonely at home. I'm going to put the question on my, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you all use, and collecting, and then I'm going to make a full screen graphic to show the percentages. So that's what I mean on that you're real specific or good. You just put, I'm going to interview, or I'm going to do a story about my teacher whose hobby is she, is in the roller derby. Okay. What we don't want to see is that you go up here and just put, oh, look at that. We've already got people. Yes. Love it. So that you don't just put sports or entertainment. That tells me absolutely nothing. Tells me nothing. So just, we're looking for a sentence that tells us something about that. Look at that. Love it, Ishmael. Love it. Perfect. So, and then again, keep in mind, these can fit into two, but I like that proximity, and actually that's super close to, I'm gonna have to go look, because that's right, our school east side is on Liberty Road. I'm gonna have to go look for this. So proximity, but that also could be a human interest story, because it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, I want to know about that. So and that's where Ishmael works out even better. Okay, so super cool. Great. Thank you for taking the lead and already giving us an example. So this is what I want you all to, before I let you go here. Sometimes, and I find this with my high school students, but I think you all, students, people, all of us, sometimes overthink, like, oh, it's easy to say, I don't have any ideas. Start what I just said, and that's what Ishmael's done. Start with you. Maybe something you do is a story. So this is something he does. He goes to this and he knows, hey, this is something that's happening now. It's great during the pandemic. And Kendrick, hush, please. So start with you. Start with you, and you might find something that you do, someone in your family does. Maybe you have a family member, excuse me, who has a cool hobby or is a musician, or I don't know. So start close to home. The idea might be right there in your own house. So with that is your assignment. Let me see where I put that. let's see, we'll look on our weekly agenda before I let you go. Let's see. Yes, so that document of just coming up with one idea, that is due Friday. I think I have it due like at midnight on Friday. So you get 2 full days to do that. And then tomorrow, oh, and I mixed up my days. I need to correct that because I forgot we don't meet on Friday. So I need to adjust that. So ignore that Friday. So right now, just be working on coming up with some story ideas. So with that, do I have any questions from you all? Okay. If you did not take the quiz yet yesterday, or in one sense, if you didn't get that submit done, stay on for just a minute and let me give you your instructions on that. Otherwise, the rest of you, I will see you tomorrow, and have a great afternoon. Okay. So, a couple of you I see in here, I had put notes like, oh, go back and redo, you know, re-answer that or retake it. So what I want you to do is, if that's you, go ahead and open that quiz. Let me know though if it's, I'm going to pull it up here for myself to see. I had some people yesterday that it was not, let's students, that it was not letting them go back in. So they were, but, oh, here we go. There we go. Okay, so I fixed it. So you should, when you open your quiz, if I'm said go back, you're now, I have it set, you can go in there and redo it. Those of you who did not take it, and you can answer me in the chat, because I know I still have some students that are coming new to the class who have not been in our class yet. So if that is you, that you were not here when I went over the content, yes. So Latonio, you're good to go. Go on ahead and hop in there. Now, if you are welcome to stay in the Zoom and retake your quiz. But if you feel like you're not going to have any questions and just want to log off of the Zoom and do it on your own, you are more than welcome to. But I'll stay here if you want to take it right here while we're here. That's fine as well. The rest of you who were here, let's see, Joseph and Patrick, were you here when I did the presentation, the PowerPoint? And if not, have you had time to go back and look at the PowerPoint and review the definitions and watch the Zoom where we played the Kahoot to give examples and test our knowledge? Okay. Joseph, what about you? Basically, what I'm asking you is, do you need more time to review it, is what I'm asking. Joseph, are you needing more time? Okay, so Latonio, do you want to stay on the Zoom and take it in case you have questions? And then Patrick, do you need more time to study it? Okay, so what I'm asking right now, okay. So let me do this. Let's just go ahead and say, okay, excellent, Latonia, thank you. Yes, Joseph, yes. So that's what the thing. So if you are someone who hadn't taken it yet or wanting to do a retake, I just said it, it's going to let you do it now, and then it keeps the higher score. So go retake it right now. It should be available for you to do that. And again, if you just want to jump off, because again, my point with you all is I want you to know the information. If you just, if I don't feel like you're knowing it, but we move on and then you have that bad quiz score because you didn't understand or didn't know, then that serves no purpose. So that's why I want you to go retake it, think it through. And, you know, if you're struggling, go back, look at some notes that you may have taken on your worksheet when you submitted ideas, and just really think it through. Again, a reminder, and especially if you hadn't taken it yet, I go back and manually grade. There have been some things where I just marked as the correct answer, the primary one, but some students have clicked some other answers, and I've thought about it. I'm like, wow, yeah, that applies for sure. So I'm giving credit. So just don't pay attention to that initial score, because I go back and I'm manually grading it as well. So if you want to stay here and take it, you may. If you want to jump off and take it there at home, let's just plan to have it done. And again, if you need any type of help from me, if you even take it here later at home and need help, shoot me a little message, either an email or in the chat function there in Canvas, so I can help you. But let's just plan to have it done by this time tomorrow. Okay, so if you're someone that you're like, Ms. Roush, I want to go back and watch the Zoom a little bit more before I take it, so I want to hop off the Zoom now, I want to study a little bit, yeah, let's have it done by the time you come to class tomorrow, 2 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, and then if you don't mind, once you're done retaking it, just so, because sometimes I get so many alerts on the side of my Canvas, if you don't mind, once you've retaken it, would you please just shoot me a little chat in there, and put, or in the grading box where you can put comments, just put Miss Roush, it's ready to grade, I retook it. Okay, if you can just do that for me so I know. Okay, all right, so just get that done by tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Okay, and then we'll see you tomorrow. You all have a great day too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, we'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye, we'll see you tomorrow.